Hi guys, this is Ryan Hodgkinson here with Twist Pilates and Fitness in Washington, D.C. And today I'm here with an upper back and shoulder mobility and stability routine. So for this workout today, you're going to need a foam roller because we're going to be starting with some myofascial release. You also want to have some sort of box or maybe like an ottoman or stools. I'm using a Pilates sitting box here. And then you also may need a ball of some type. You can also just use a couple pillows if that's what you have at home. We're going to start with the foam roller to get that myofascial release through the shoulders. So first thing I'd like you to do is you're going to take your foam roller and you're just going to place it parallel to your mat, and we're going to very carefully sit down onto the mat or onto your foam roller and walk your hands back until you can lay down onto the foam roller with both your tailbone and your head supported by the roller. And just to start, I'd like you to have your feet flat to the ground, hip distance apart, and we're just going to take a couple deep lateral thoracic breaths. We're breathing into the back of the rib cage, out to the sides on the inhale through the nose, and then a deep exhale from the back of your throat, letting all the air come out of your lungs. Let's do that again. Deep breath. Think breathing into the back of the ribs, allowing the ribs to expand, the ribs out to the sides as your abdominals drawn to your back, and exhale. And one more time. From here, I'm going to reach my hands up to the ceiling with my palms facing one another, and I'm just going to inhale, reach my hands up to the ceiling so my shoulder blades move away from the roller, and then I'm going to exhale and draw them back down. As my shoulder blades are moving up, this is called protraction. They're moving away from the center of my spine, and then as I exhale, I draw them back down into retraction. From here, I'm going to bend my elbows to 90 degrees, so my elbows are directly above my shoulders. My palms are still facing each other. And I'm just going to open my arms out to my side as wide as I can while still being able to see my hands, my peripheral vision, and then just bring them back together. And again, we're going to go for 10 of these. Placing my left arm down, I'm going to carefully come off of the side of the roller. I'm going to turn the roller perpendicular to my mat. I'm going to roll out the sides of my shoulder blades. So I'm going to place the roller right underneath my left armpit with my knees bent in towards my chest. My hands are behind my head. I'm going to press with my hips a little bit, and I'm going to roll back and forth along the length of my shoulder blade. And after about 10, I'm going to hold, and I'm going to rotate my chest towards the ground and then towards the ceiling. I'm going to do about 10 of these. And I'm going to move the roller over to the other side so I can get my right armpit and my right shoulder blade. So again, placing the roller directly on my right side of my right shoulder blade, knees tucked, hands behind the head, and I'm just kind of rocking back and forth just along the length of the shoulder blade. I'm going to rotate my chest towards the ground, and then back towards the ceiling. Again, doing about 10 of them. Coming back up, I'm going to take my roller, and I'm going to place it, keep it perpendicular onto the mat, and I'm going to put the bottom of my shoulder blades right
at the edge of the roller, place my hands behind my head, my feet are flat to the ground. I'm going to draw the abs in, lift my hips up, and then I'm just going to roll back and forth along the length of my shoulder blades, from the top of the shoulder blade just to the bottom tip. And I'm going to lift the right shoulder blade off the roller, and I'm just going to roll across my left shoulder blade a few times. And switch. And then coming to center, I'm going to slowly let my hips sink down to the ground, let my elbows drop out wide, and my head drop back into my hands so I get a nice thoracic extension around the roller. And then I'm going to support my head as I come up. And taking the roller off to the side, we're going to go into some kind of dynamic stretches to warm up your shoulders. So I'm going to lie down on my back. I'm going to start with what are called snow angels. So knees bent, feet flat to the ground. My palms are down on the ground. I'm just going to slide my hands out into a T, rotate my palms to the ceiling, slide the back of my hands up to the ceiling as high as I can, while keeping my hands on the ground and my arms straight. And I'm going to rotate them down. I'm just going to do this about 5 times. Allowing the shoulder blades to move into upward and downward rotation. Okay, now I'm going to alternate. I'm going to keep my left hand to my side. I'm going to slide the right hand out and up. And then as my right hand moves down, my left hand moves up. Now keeping my left hand up, I'm going to roll my head to my left, kind of like I'm checking out my left armpit, making sure everything's cool. And then I'm going to roll my head to my right as my right hand comes up. I'm just going to roll back and forth, trying to release my cervical spine to your neck. Again, I'm going to hold here. I'm looking to my left, and I'm going to let both my knees drop to my right. So now as my left hand comes down, my right hand comes up, I look to my right, and my knees move to my left. I'm just going to go back and forth for a few. And then coming to center, I'm going to take my hands up to the ceiling, and then I'm going to keep my abdominals tight, and I'm going to try to lay the back of my hands onto the ground. Now they don't quite reach there without me having to arch my back. So I'm just going to take them back up, and we're going to do this 5 times. You take your thumbs and up. Now I'm going to take my hands out into a Y. A little bit easier there. And take them back towards the sky. Now out to a T. And I'm going to bend my elbows to 90 degrees so they form a W between my head and my hands. And I'm going to reach my hands along the ground straight up, and I'm going to pull them back down. All right, from here I'm going to transition over onto my side. Now this might be where you need a ball, because we're going to be working on some T-spine rotations. And if you don't have enough flexibility in your thoracic spine, you're going to need this ball to help you. So the first way you can do it is you're going to just rest your head onto my left side down, so I'm resting on my left arm. I'm going to take my right arm, I'm going to slide my right arm forward so my shoulder comes into slight protraction. Then I'm going to bend my elbow, I'm going to rotate my chest to the ceiling and try to lay the back of my hand onto the ground before bending my elbow and bring it across. Now if that's too easy, just take the ball, place it between your knees, and you're going to get a little bit more of a stretch. And again, if that's too easy, just get rid of the ball. Keep your knees stacked. And 3, we're going to do 2 more. All right, now I'm going to go into a pinball. Again, you can use the ball if you need, but I'm going to slide my palm up over my head, rotate my palm to the ceiling, bring my hand around my body, bend my elbow, send my arm across to my body in front of me. I'm going to do this 5 times. And then I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to bend my elbow, take the arm back behind me, slide the back of my hand over my head, turn the palm to the ground, and do that again. 5. All right, now I'm going to sit up and turn and do the same thing on the other side. Again, you can use the ball if you need. We're going to start though with just the T-spine rotation for 5. I'm going to go into my pinwheel, slide my hand up, over my head, rotating, and sending it back across my body. And then go in the other direction. Okay, now that I've done a couple dynamic stretches, kind of warm up my shoulders, I've got a little bit of myofascial release. I'm going to start working on stabilizing my shoulder blades. The first thing we're going to work on is using the foam roller and a swan to work on shoulder depression, being able to draw those shoulder blades down away from your ear. So I'd like you to lie down onto your stomach, place your forearms onto your foam roller with your thumbs up to the ceiling. You're going to draw the abs up into your back, and then as you inhale, start to lift your collarbone, lift your sternum, and draw your shoulder blades down the back to roll the foam roller towards you. Only come up as high as you can without your pelvis lifting off the ground. And then slowly roll back down. And again, inhale, lift. And exhale down. And one more time. All right, let's move the foam roller away. And we're going to work on shoulder retraction, where the shoulder blades pinch together in the back of the body, or they come towards the center of your spine, and protraction, where shoulder blades move away from the center of your spine. So we're going to start on your hands and knees. So with your back flat, reach out through the crown of your head, draw the abs in, and you're just going to let your chest sink down to the ground while your arms stay straight, and then press your palms down to the ground to lift your collarbone. So I'm just going back and forth, finding protraction and retraction. Variation of this exercise is to do it from a plank. Again, make sure you keep your body in a nice straight line from heel to head. Next, we're going to be going into sticky hands, and this is to challenge the stability of my torso as I pick one arm up. So imagining that my hands are tacky or something sticking to the mat. I'm just going to pull my hand up and back down and switch arms. trying to keep my chest square to the ground. Increase the challenge by holding yourself in a plank. Trying to minimize the shift from side to side. Next, I'm going to challenge my stability by reaching one arm forward while trying to keep my chest square to the ground. So I'm going to reach my right thumb up to the ceiling, bring it back down, and then my left thumb. Again, I can challenge my stability by coming into a plank, have my feet about 3-4 inches apart, and reaching one arm forward, and switching arms. Again, trying to minimize the shift from side to side. So the next exercise we're going to work on for shoulder stability are our push-ups. Now we want to do our push-ups with our shoulders in what's called a neutral position. So earlier we were allowing our shoulders to go to retraction and then into protraction. I want to find the sweet spot right between protraction and retraction, draw the shoulder blades firmly down the back of my body. I'm going to bend my elbows 45 degrees from the ground, lower my chest to the ground, and press back up. And we're going to shoot for 10 of these. If you're like a lot of people and you struggle to be able to do a complete push-up, you can put your hands on something higher. Right here I'm using, again, my Pilates sitting box. I'm going to lower down and press up. If this is still too challenging, maybe even try the back of the couch. But I'm working on keeping those shoulder blades down and in a neutral position. Our next exercise is going to be a reverse table with marching. So I'm going to start with just the table. Looking straight ahead, abs tight. I'm going to press my hips up to the ceiling and lower back down. And again, using the back of my shoulder here to help press those hips up. Now you can continue just raising and lowering your hips, or if you feel comfortable, hold your hips up and pick one leg up to tabletop, lower the foot down, and switch. Trying to keep your hips stable. A progression of this exercise is to go ahead and extend your legs, and I'm just going to press my hips up towards the ceiling, looking straight ahead, and lowering back down. Again, practicing just lifting up and down. You can increase the challenge by holding your hips up and lifting one leg to the ceiling and back down. If this feels too challenging, just continue raising and lowering your hips. The third exercise we're going to work for shoulder stability is your side plank. Now, side plank is a very challenging exercise, and so I'm going to show you a number of different variations so you can pick the one that's right for you. So to start, you're going to bend your knees, place your right forearm down on the ground, make sure your elbow is directly underneath your shoulder, and then line with your supporting hip. Now from here, I'm just going to practice coming up, and then slowly coming back down. A more challenging variation of this exercise is to go ahead. I'm going to extend my legs slightly with my left ankle crossed over my right. And as I come up, I'm going to extend my legs, coming into a side plank and back down. Another variation of this exercise is to do it with the straight arm. Again, making sure your hands are underneath your shoulder and in line with your hip, and my ankles are crossed. I'm going to come up and slowly sink my hips back down, keeping my right shoulder down and away from my ear. And the final variation of this exercise, the final challenge of it, is to come up into the side plank. And then I'm going to pike my hips as I thread my top arm underneath my bottom and then come back up.
So you want to pick which variation of the exercise is going to be challenging for you, and you get about 10 repetitions. Make sure you do both sides. I show the same thing starting on the side, starting with my left elbow down, knees bent, and I'm just lifting up and coming back down. Slightly more challenging variation is to extend your legs slightly, right ankle crossed over your left. And again, I'm going to come up, extending my legs, and back down. Again, I can come up with a straight arm. So coming up, nice and long, and back down. Again, make sure the shoulder stays away from your left ear. And the final variation is I'm going to lift my hips, thread my right arm underneath my torso, and then rotate back into my side plank. And coming down. So the last thing I'm going to do is add in a quick static stretch for my shoulders. So again, I'm going to grab my Pilates sitting box, and so I'm going to place it on the side. So if you have an ottoman or a stool, whatever, it's going to be about 2 feet off the ground. You're going to take your left hand, place your left arm onto your box, thumb to the ceiling, chest square to the ground. I'm going to slowly bend my right elbow to 45 degrees, lowering my chest until I feel a nice stretch in my left shoulder. Coming back up, and switch arms. Again, bending that elbow 45 degrees, lowering my chest. And back up. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me today on the upper back and shoulder mobility exercises. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again soon. Thank you.